Alright, game 4 here, and there are a couple things on the board I'm seeing. There's colonies, of course, so rebuild is one of the things. Is a bit slower and made even slower by the shelters on board as opposed to the estates. Additionally, I don't really like to play with rebuild. In fact, I like to play against rebuild just to see if I could beat it. But here, I think it's reasonable actually to not go after rebuild if you don't want to. The other thing I'm seeing is the Wishing Well and Goons thing. There's Lost Arts, so you can play multiple Goons. So the issue with the Wishing Well and Goons thing is that you have to guess very, very accurately with your Wishing Wells for them to be good. Otherwise, your deck is just cantrips, right? You need them to be labs. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And the deck only really works well if you have a lot of Wishing Wells. So if your opponent has the same idea, then you're gonna end up with 5 wishing wells each, and that's really not enough. I mean, there's Hireling as well to supplement your draw, so it's still probably worthwhile to go this way after the wishing wells. You do want Hirelings, just even if you just wanted to recover from the Goons attack, but it also draws you cards, which is gonna be key here to play in multiple Goons. So we both have our pair of lookouts at this point, right? I open Wishing Well lookout, my opponent goes Wishing Well silver. No, lookout silver. And I pick up a second lookout on my on my first shuffle and a silver as well. So here my opponent spikes five, which is fine. I mean, they are the silver, right? So they're reasonably likely to get to 5 maybe. And they get the wine merchant out. Totally understand that as quite a good play actually, because you could put the wine merchant on your mat, get the 4 coins, buy your goons, and move along with life, right? It could just sit on your mat for the remainder of the game there. Why you would want that is because one less card for wishing altogether. So I pick up a second silver here because I'm not getting to 5. I want to get to 5. I don't know how this man got to 5. Just one silver. I want to get to 5 too. So I pick up a second silver. My opponent gets goons off the wine merchant player there, which is exactly why you buy it. I am able to pick up a wine merchant of my own here. I'm not sure if that was right or not, but I do pick up the wine merchant. It is the only terminal, so it shouldn't be a problem. And at any rate, I do have the necropolis, so I can have 2 terminals potentially and be okay. So I'm able to find the jolly fat man here, and I'm gonna set him aside. And instead of going for the goons at this point, I opt for 2 wishing wells and to discard the wine merchant from the mat. I would have liked 9, then I would have gone for goons well, but I opt for 2 wells here. Why? Because oh no, I opt for the goons. I do opt for the 2 wells later, but because I want the draw, right? I opt for the goons now just to get the attack in against my opponent. Here I do have the 9. Do have the 9, so if I'm not hit by goons, I could go for well and a second goons or a hireling or something. Not gonna happen. That goons comes down at a unhappy time for me here. So 6 for my opponent. They could go for a couple of wells, but they end up making the play for the hireling at this point instead of the couple of wells. Now in their position, I'd have gone for the wells because they're cheap. You get 2 points, and you could get your hireling later. That the hireling isn't going anywhere. The wells will. But my opponent picks up the hireling for going 2 wells. For that, of course, uh, not that they have 0 wells, they do have at least 1 here, but I don't know. Here I pitch the lookouts because on top of the deck is 2 wishing wells. I don't want to play that lookout. I don't. I could, and the third card could be trash, and I could get rid of it. But like I said, from turn game 1, low risk play, right? Low risk play. I'm not gonna risk losing one of my wishing wells or the wine merchant or something just off the lookout. It might have been the correct thing to do to trash there with the lookout, but I'm gonna skip out on 2 trashes there potentially. So not getting a lot right here with the wishing well is a little bit frustrating. You know, silver comes up and yeah, things are not happening with the wishing wells there. I'm gonna pick up again here another pair of wells over the hireling, and my opponent has the hireling down now. Now, with regards to this hireling play versus the two wells, I'm not sure which is better. I'm not sure which is better, but currently my opponent's deck is better than mine. They've been able to trash a few more cards. They have the hireling in play now, and they are getting their goons out nearly every turn. So here's going to be wishing well and goons for my opponent. So they have the second goons now here. Um, right. I have collision here between the wine merchant and the goons, but that's totally fine. I'll play the goons, attack my opponent, and by the last wishing well. So that split went down 7-3 in my favor. So, and I thought that was a good thing. A little bit of foreshadowing. I think that's a good thing, right? To win the wishing well split that big it has to be a good thing, right? Like now I could go for goons and hirelings as I please. My opponent has a bit of a different approach, right? But just the three wells, but the hireling, not the second goons. That's a little bit unhappy having to trash that second lookout so quickly. And in fact, I say, you know what? I don't need the silver. I'm gonna get rid of the silver at this point, which is fine because I have the goons, right? And I have the wine merchant if I want a burst of economy at some point. Speaking of burst of economy, here I have three and I don't want to buy anything because it'll make my wells bad, right? I could buy back the silver, but I don't really want that in the deck. If I could get rid of all my silvers now, I'd be glad. Because I think I have enough gas to buy like one more goons and then, you know, then I'll have three goons and then that's $6. I could buy more goons. Slowly creep up to having a deck just filled with wishing wells and goons. My plan is to put the lost arts not on goons as my opponent did, but on the wells actually, because I have 7 of them. That's a lot. Much rather put it on the well than the goons, I think. But because of the style of deck my opponent is building with the hirelings, so what'll happen is that they have a lot of cards just coming into their hand, right? So they'll start with like 7, 8, 9 card hands. They don't have to draw a lot with the wishing wells. What'll happen is that they'll draw a lot of goons and then just spam goons, right? If they put it on wishing wells, that restricts them. Because they can only play what 4 goons rather than as opposed to if they put it on goons, then they can play as many goons as they can draw. And the draw is governed by the wishing, not the wishing, or the hirelings that they have. So yeah, a difference in approach so far in this game. I have the wells and they haven't been doing as much work as I want them to, right? Hey, I'm finally able to get this merchant out of my deck. I'm gonna put the Lost Arts token now, I believe, on the wishing well. I don't have any goons in play, so it is, you know, as good a time as any, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna get the point if I buy the Lost Arts, but nope, I skip out on the Lost Arts for 9. I'm gonna spend all the money by a platinum. Kinda have to do that given that my opponent has the goons advantage. I have to try to score points with the green cards as opposed to the goons. And there, what is this? Goons and hireling for my opponent. Crazy, crazy. That's a lot of money. A lot of good cards. So what is going to end up happening is yeah, the hireling is going to come on. My deck is now starting to come together. Like, I'm now starting to get consistent guesses off of this wishing well. I wanted that to happen a lot earlier, and that would only come through like intense trashing via the lookout. But I didn't play 2 of those lookouts that turn, and yeah, I don't know if I played wishing well. The best wishing well is a very high skill card, and I don't particularly have the skill to be able to play wishing well that well. Ha, that well. That's a joke, right? Anyway, so back to the game. This is the second hireling out for my opponent. Just 5, and I think they also are gonna skip here on buying anything. Yup, not gonna pick up anything just gets the wine merchant off the mat. At least that can happen. So here, look, all these wishing wells miss, man. And that's not what I need to see at this stage in the game, especially that I'm playing from behind at this point. I really didn't need to see that. Like, my opponent has two hirelings down. I didn't even get to. I did play the goons, but I didn't get to buy anything. Just kind of spinning wheels here, not going anywhere. I do not call the wine merchant because I only want to call this guy when I'm very thin and clean and I can get reliable draw from this wishing well. Because I have seven of them. Seven of them is a lot. It's enough to make the wishing well thing work, I think. Six might be stretching it, but seven and upwards is very good for consistently, provided you could get consistency, provided you could get very thin. So I managed to stick down my hireling here, and I'm gonna buy another because the draw is very good. And then after the second hireling, I think I have enough draw. I'm gonna go for goons, 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 goons. Meanwhile, my opponent is doing a similar thing, just buying hirelings and goons, right? So they are out in front at this point. They have more hirelings than me. They have more goons than me. Things are looking bleak for this game. Finally, here, look, I'm able to draw the deck. I'm able to draw the deck. I get rid of the silver. I do not want to see that silver. It causes so much problems with the wishing wells. Stick the second hireling down and going to buy another goons. Not calling the wine merchant because then I would be over terminal. I still haven't put that plus action token on the wishing wells yet. This is not a good thing to draw, but I'd like to be able to trash one of these coppers, but I need to rely on my opponent's goons to do so. So you see, what was this? 1, 2, 3, 4 goons and a fourth hireling come out. Goons for my opponent, discarding the wine merchant. So yeah, not looking good. Just you know, if you play chess, this is good like mid-game play from my opponent in chess, right? They just slowly, incrementally improving their position to a point where they just can't be beat. You can't dislodge them from that position in any way, shape, or form. So I'm up and running now, but it's a little bit, not a little bit, a lot too late. 10. I think I just end up buying a second platinum here. I have to go for green to try to compete, right? And I'm thin. Thin enough now, the wishing wells are going to pull those platinum reliably. And we close into the end of the game here. Well, not the end of the game, but like the latter part of the game here. My opponent has what, 16, 17, and they just proceed to keep buying like goons at this point. They have enough draw from the hireling. My goons attack is not hurting them whatsoever. So just stocking up on the goons as much as they could. Right, I'm able to draw the deck like I said. The Necropolis is still around. I'm gonna put the token here now on the wishing wells. After picking up the last goon, so I have 3 goons, couple platina. I don't know. Here I could discard the wine merchant, but I don't because I probably forget because I've been keeping him there for so long. And here, these are the final 2 turns of the game. My opponent makes that play of just pile driving the estates. So they only have 7 buys, so they could only get 7 of the estates, of course. But on the next turn, they're going to pick up the last one and excuse me, finish off the game. So that is game 3. I got outplayed here. I admit it. The highlight thing was better. Jeez, I'm dying. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.